If you grew up during the 90s or the early 2000s, there's an extremely high chance that you watched some of Dan Schneider's shows. It was like impossible to avoid him. It'd be like trying to dodge raindrops during a thunderstorm. Dan Schneider during this period was the king of...
It might be done for, I ain't gonna lie. It might be done for. My fall off needs to be studied.
Children's television programs. He made some of the most influential productions like Drake and Josh, The Amanda Show, iCarly. His resume is just stacked with tons of shows that I imagine meant a lot to many of you growing up.
My fall off needs to be studied.
And make no mistake, you meant a lot to the creator of these shows as well. Well, not so much you, but your feet certainly did. The creator of these shows is a monstrous foot fetishist, Dan Get in the Van Schneider. He is a vile, creepy,
I ain't gonna lie, bro. The amount of times I go back, like, when I tell you, before I even knew they dropped a documentary, bro, I was just chilling. I was literally just chilling, watching Drake and Josh. I was just watching back old Drake and Josh videos. The amount of feet, bro. I run back and I watch iCarly. The amount of feet. I go on my For You page. I see a clip of this episode of Victorious. Andre talking about, yeah, I'll smell your foot. How did we miss it? Because we were kids, man. Because we were kids.
Disgusting human being, and this has been known for years. However, a new docuseries just dropped really diving into this subject matter and putting a spotlight on it in a way that hasn't previously been explored. It's called Quiet on Set. Now, if you don't know what Dan looks like, here's a nice picture of him here. He looks like he was made in the Dragon's Dogma 2 character creator. And Dan Schneider has become the face of Quiet on Set. However, it actually explores more than that. It's like a whole deep look at all of the horrible things that were going on during these Nickelodeon productions. It's more than just Dan, but he obviously plays a central role here because he made these shows. He was the head honcho of most of this. And he was well aware of some of these terrible and downright criminal things that were going on behind the scenes on some of these shows.
He was 100% aware. He just didn't do anything because he wanted some of the action. Bro, I seen some dude that was on Ned Declassified. He was talking about some... Nah. I wish I gotta pull it up. Where he was like, see how quick they canceled my show? I was about to give him my ass. Bro, that shit had me crying, bro. The fuck?
The reason I mentioned the foot fetishism off rip here is because that was one of the first things that people really caught on to in the public eye. After Dan's glory days at Nickelodeon, people started to pick up on how odd it was that a lot of these children's shows had an emphasis on feet. Pretty frequently, it was a common thread throughout a lot of these shows, like feet humor and having these child actors and actresses displaying their feet. And in 2013, one of the shows...
The world is ready.
Oh my god,
Come join
bro.
the action and study for a
fuck
film
on my
degree with
ear.
us, either at our
Dan worked on, Sam and Cat actually ran a competition where kids...
Wait, hold on. Hey, new fumble alert. This nigga Anthony. Bro, when I tell you, I have this homie, bro. I'm not going to say his name, but Ant_the_man2. I've never met a human being who has fumbled as many times as this man. Does she have a sponsorship? Anthony, bro. Ant_the_man2 on TikTok and YouTube, bro. Ant, bro. How do you... This girl is that a sponsored post? How does he keep fumbling women with motion? It don't make sense. 16 bars? I bet I got you. 16 bars? Bet. Hold on. I got you. You ain't say it had to be my bars now. I got y'all some bars from my TikTok live real quick. Hold on. I'm gonna exhale too. I hope my ex dies into a pool of gas. My ex dies into a pool of gas with a lighter in her pocket. I hope that my. Hold on. I know all the words. I just gotta. You know what I'm saying? I know the words. Hold on. Round with a point to prove. Boy, don't get. You walk around with a point to prove. Boy, don't get shot. Hold on. They got a switch glide. Turn the YOLO hard and then I stop her like it's Chris Rock. Japanese bitch keep a glide. Plus she kick bars. Little turn them. We'll turn big ass boots to some flip flops. 2 Glocks, 30 shots, wrap them like a gift shop. Fuck your baby mama, grab your son, then do a TikTok. They gon' have to call the woo. We don't left this bitch hot. Worse than the hot ass boy. How you dig how? When it rain, it poured. I messed up. Fine, I'll do it. Oh my gosh, but this nigga Anthony has to be studied, bro. He's not real. This motherfucker needs to be studied. You did not just call me Unk. No. He did not just call me Unk.
Were supposed to submit pictures of their feet to them.
Wait! What? Salmon cat tomorrow. Right on the bottom of your foot. Take a pic and use hashtag Salmon Cat Saturdays. We'll retweet and follow until our fingers get sore. Who allowed this? Who allowed this?
Like, that's weird. No matter how you spin it, that's a really weird thing to request from your audience of children, to take pictures of their feet for you. That's just downright creepy and wrong. I can't believe that tweet is still up, by the way, over a decade later, and no one thought to delete that. That is impressive. But anyway, people started to pick up on Dan's fixation with stompers, and it seemed like his fetish was bleeding into his work, and he was having the children unknowingly participate in it by having them display their feet. That's what it seemed to a lot of people, so it was obviously very concerning, so people did more and more digging. They found more and more evidence of Dan being an awful piece of shit behind the scenes with a lot of shady things going on there, and it just led to this reputation that people for years have known that Dan blows loads to toes Scheider is not a good person.
I think we should have been. How did we not know that? I mean, we were kids, obviously, so feet and stuff was funny. You know what I'm saying? But how do we miss that? So back then, like, feet was funny, bro. Now it's like, what are you doing? Oh, let me make sure the thing's not echoing. Big ass boots and the flip flops. All right, bet.
And now, Quiet on the Set has released, and so much information has come out, not just about Dan, but about that entire Nickelodeon workplace around these child stars.
Yeah, I seen Drake Bell's story. That's so tough. Like, he was visibly, like, he was still shaken up about the whole situation because he endured that as a kid, bro, as a 15-year-old kid. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, imagine that. At 15 years old, you seeing things you ain't never thought you'd ever see in your life. He couldn't even make up the words to say it on camera. That's how bad it was. He literally said, "Think of the worst thing you could have imagined in that moment, and then you have an idea of what happened." What? The worst thing?
Arguably the largest piece of new information that dropped during this docuseries was the sexual abuse of Drake Bell by someone named Brian Peck. So Brian Peck was a coach at Nickelodeon whom was sexually abusing Drake Bell, and he was actually convicted in 2004. He spent 16 months in the slammer, and then immediately upon release landed a job with Disney.
That's so... They didn't even skip a beat. They just said, "Hey, bro, I ain't gonna lie. You might have did that shit, But you funny as hell. We need you over here at Disney Channel.
If that doesn't show just how rotten to the core this industry is, I don't know what will. There is deep-seated evil in Hollywood. He went to jail for lewd acts with a minor. He is a sex offender, a convicted sex offender, and he immediately got a Disney Channel job working on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody? What the fuck? That's mind-bogglingly...
Here's one thing you need to do before
Another
buying anything
ad,
online.
bro.
Don't spend
Damn.
another dime on Amazon until
Why are you
watch
looking
this
at me in
first.
my
Watch this.
eyes?
evil. Like that's not just irresponsible, that's malicious. It's not like they just made some kind of mistake where they put a sex offender in a role where he works almost exclusively with children. It's not like they made a whoopsie-daisy, they just happened to overlook that he's a sex offender. They knew. They would have to know, and they still hired him for that role regardless. That's scary. That's terrifying. They're actively enabling a fucking sex offender to potentially prey on more children. Drake also described that when he went into court, Brian Peck had the support of some very powerful and familiar faces. There were 41 character letters written to the judge asking for leniency for Brian Peck.
I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna watch this because it's on Max. I was just using Max and I seen it on there. I'm gonna watch this.
41 letters of support from industry personnel that were trying to get a lighter sentence for Brian Peck, even knowing that he is guilty of the crimes for which he is about to face the punishment, asking for a more generous sentence. These weren't just 41 pieces of toilet paper with nonsensical scribblings on it from nobodies. These were 41 character letters that were submitted by industry personnel, some of whom were high up on the food chain, so these things carried weight. And they're advocating for someone who is guilty of sexually abusing a child. Holy shit. They just viewed it as not a big deal, I guess. Listen, Judge, I understand Brian Peck diddled a child. Who at Nickelodeon hasn't? Are you really...
That's what I'm saying, bro. Hey, bro. Like, yeah, he touched some kids. We've all done that before. So it's like, is he really that bad? That's what I've been saying, bro. Like, he should be free. Fuck up.
Really gonna throw him away or put him away and throw away the key for that? What about season 3 of Drake and Josh? What actually matters here? Let's think about that. Like, this is crazy to me. It almost stops being surprising learning that Brian Peck landed a job at Disney right after his 16 months in prison for this crime, because it seems like that entire industry just does not give a fuck about the safety of kids to begin with. So like I said, Quiet on Set isn't just about Dan Schneider and all of the awful things that he has done. It's about how awful that entire industry itself is. But once again, Dan Schneider does still play a large role in this docuseries, highlighting the bad workplace and environment that he would cultivate, the weird shit that would go on in like the writer's room and the way he'd treat some people, just a whole plethora of different bad stuff. And in response to all of this, Dan Schneider himself actually stepped out from the shadows, leaving his little gopher's hidey hole and addressing it head on in one of the most painfully scripted and staged apology video interviews I've ever seen.
Hey, it's Boogie.
Not Tebow. No. Not Tebow. Damn. Where's your stick at?
I played Tebow on Nickelodeon's iCarly. I got a chance to watch the Quiet on Set program, and I reached out to Dan to see if it was something that he'd be willing to discuss. I'm pleased to say that he said yes. Dan, how are you?
I'm okay.
The interview is not conducted by a professional, it's conducted by a former actor in one of Dan Schneider's shows, and he is not equipped to handle something like this. This is the biggest load of baloney. Like, this is just some straight up fucking malarkey. There is no pushback from Boogie on anything in this interview at all. It's just strategic softballs designed to give Dan Schneider some kind of sympathetic PR win here.
Because we're gonna watch that and be like, yeah, maybe he's not such a bad guy. Maybe he's actually just misunderstood. Hey, little kids, make sure you put your feet in my inbox. I need to see that. I'm not gonna lie, I need to see that. Make sure you send your feet to my DMs, and I'll post you.
Where he comes out of this looking better. Where he comes out of this like not the bad guy. It's so.
Charlie is a little bit to the left or to the right. Oh. Or not that. I'll do this. I'll move myself to the bottom like this. Make myself a little bigger though.
Deplorable that they'd even try something like this with a straight face. I think it is extremely transparent what this is, and I'm happy to say pretty much everyone saw straight through this. This did not give Dan Schneider the dunk I think he was expecting it to. This did not make him look any better in the public's eye. It actually just made it look even more sinister that he was able to, it seems, pre-prepare this interview to mitigate the potential fallout from the docuseries airing.
Let's talk about the massages.
Okay.
Massage.
Watching the content yesterday, it was disturbing.
It was wrong. It was wrong that I ever put anybody in that position. It was the wrong thing to do. I'd never do it today. I'm embarrassed that I did it then. I apologize to anybody that I ever put in that situation.
Dan.
Boogie, Tebow, bro, you're not giving any pushback. You're just accepting his answers. So you touched some kids. Why did you do that? Yeah, I'm ashamed of what I did, even though it happened 3 years ago. I'm not the same person I was. I'm trying to become better and do better. All right, next question. What? Like, give some pushback.
And talk to me about the writer's room. From what I saw, not cool.
No, and I don't mean to cut you off, but if I can cut right to the chase, let me just say, no writer should ever feel uncomfortable in any writer's room, ever, period, the end, no excuses.
It starts with what's supposed to be this moment of taking accountability. Dan Schneider's just point blank apologizing and, holding himself accountable for the sins of the past type vibe. Except he's really not. Like, these aren't things that you just, hand wave away with, a simple apology. A lot of what was reported is, unforgivable bad shit. There's really no way of apologizing for the things that Dan Schneider has done and also been accused of. So it's just, it feels so fucking insincere. And Dan Schneider got away with it, and it seems will continue to get away with it. So he loses nothing by doing something like this, which just makes it frustrating to see him parade around pretending like he cares now all of a sudden. It's extremely easy for him to just be like, oh yeah, that was bad. I feel bad for that. Oh, what a regret. Yep, not good. Yeah. It's just, I would have liked if the interviewer was someone that would legitimately dive into a lot of these things and actually press him on a lot.
That's what I'm saying, because pressure needs to be applied. That's what some pressure needs to be applied, Tebow. What happened to the Tebow that was serving out briskets on a stick? Bagels on a stick. What happened to that Tebow? What happened to the Tebow that put tacos on a stick? Hard shell.
Lot of these things. This interview never even addresses the things that people want to hear from Dan on, such as the sexualization of the children in those shows. Even outside of all the foot stuff, Dan included some very inappropriate things in his programs, such as Ariana Grande milking a potato, and then another scene with her getting splashed with water and shit. All of it was very unacceptable and seems to sexualize the child actors and actresses in his productions. And that was never even brought up in this interview. So this interview just, it doesn't have any real substance to it. It is legitimately just a scripted PR play from Dan.
I cut it. I want my shows to be popular. I want everyone to like. The more people who like the shows, the happier I am.
Yeah.
So if there's anything in a show that needs to be cut because it's upsetting somebody, let's cut it.
So I think it's big for you to say with your work, if it's viewed as that today, you don't have a problem.
Cut it. Cut it.
I mean, that's a solution.
But that's the thing, though. At that point, you're just canceling every single Dan Schneider show. At that point, You know what I'm saying?
The last thing I want to ever do is put
There are episodes out there that are dedicated to feet. Unlike, I'm pretty sure damn near every single Dan Snyder show, there's at least one episode that is dedicated to feet or foots.
any content in a show that's going to upset my audience and make them want to turn off the TV. Why would I ever want to do that?
That makes sense.
This is him addressing a question that Boogie asked about, like, inappropriate jokes in there without getting too deep into the weeds, just a broad subject of some of these jokes have aged poorly and people look at them as inappropriate for a child audience. How do you respond? The most softball way of asking this question, mind you, and his response was, cut it. Just get rid of it. I don't want it in the show. If it's aged bad and it makes people uncomfortable or, you know, this and that, cut it. And Boogie's like patting him on the back for it, like, oh my goodness, wow.
But that's the thing, though. It's like, what do you then don't put it out at all, you know? What?
That's so benevolent. What a great solution. Yeah, that makes sense. What the fuck? It's so easy for him to say that now, but it doesn't take away the fact that you filmed it. If you cut Ariana Grande milking a potato type shit, if you cut some of the foot stuff that you included in there, it doesn't change the fact that you still had the child actors and actresses doing that shit and were sexualizing them. It still happened. That's still bad. Cutting it from the final product doesn't erase what you did. It's
That's what I'm saying.
It's so frustrating that there's no pushback on any of this in the interview. He just gets to let him say his piece and then get applause for it. It's so stupid.
And when Drake and I talked and he told me what had happened, I was more devastated by that than anything that ever happened
I've seen a part of this interview. He's going to start crying
to me
soon.
in my career thus far. 41 of those people wrote letters for Peck, character letters, praising him for who he was and asking for leniency, and they knew that he was guilty. They knew he had confessed to some degree, and they still did this. But Drake's mom, a lovely woman who I stay in contact with this day, she came to me at the time and she said, "Would you help me with my speech?"
Oh my gosh. What did I say? This man is crying now. You crying? Bro wasn't crying when he told Ariana Grande to squeeze the juice out of a potato. Bro wasn't crying when he had Andre Leon Thomas, a talented man. One of the most talented men I've ever seen in my entire life. You had Andre Harris out here smelling foots. You wasn't crying when you told people to, your kid audience, to send photos of your feet and then send it to us so we can retweet it. Hey.
Judge. And I said, of course. And I
Welcome
did.
back.
Dan Schneider's fishing for the Nickelodeon's Kid Choice Award for the best fake crying. It feels super forced and super insincere. Him tearing up while talking about this story. This is him talking about the Drake and Brian Peck case, where he mentions 41 people wrote those letters and it baffled him. And then Drake's mom actually asked him to help her write her piece, which he did. And that leads me to a question of, if you knew all this, why didn't you back up Drake Bell? The way it's described, Brian Peck had all of these people in his corner, but Drake really only had his mom and his brother. Why weren't you more involved? Like, I imagine that could have been extraordinarily helpful. But regardless, this interview doesn't do anything to change my perception
really
of Dan
doesn't,
Schneider
but
or anyone else's, really, I imagine, because it's still nothing. This isn't really an interview. It's just a PR piece disguised as an interview. It's just more despicable garbage here. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. Again, the docuseries is called Quiet on Set. It's out now. And yeah, just kind of wanted to go over it a little bit. That's it. So yeah.
Well said, Charlie. Well said. Man, that's... Dan Schneider is so odd. Hold on, like, let me see, like... Oh, excuse me. I did see somehow like Josh Peck defended Dan Schneider or something like that. Some crazy. Hold on. Like, bro, there's so much shit in this little 2 minutes alone. This is a 4-year-old video too.
Yeah, and then they can turn off the lasers and we can get out of here.
You'd have to be pretty skinny to slide under that laser beam and not hit it.
So which one of us is the flattest?
My throat is my instrument. I'm a throat player.
Doesn't count.
It sounds kind of gross.
A D? I've always gotten A's in music. How does a person go from an A to a D?
Happened to me in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Hey, Sinjin!
Yes?
Do you have a girlfriend?
No.
You have a credit card?
Yeah.
Why don't you call me sometime?
I can't watch Victorious and iCart. I can't watch them the same no more. I can't.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll go buy a phone.
It's like Mike and Molly.
You two were fighting, and you yanked Festus right out of his grub truck, and now he's in the hospital.
I just wanted a tamale.
Well, you went and broke his tamale-making arm, so now what?
We're sorry.
Yeah, well, until Festus is out of the hospital, you two are gonna work the grub truck.
Gross!
Trina?
I'm not gonna. Why should I?
Supposed to.
Ow! You bit my hand! Wax!
Oh my gosh. Which one is this? Hold on.
Let go! My dad is a cop! Take her behind the screen and get her address. Come on, come on, come on. What are you doing?
Just the girls.
All right. Like Ariana Grande being sexualized on Victorious for 2 minutes straight. This shit is fucking crazy. We're definitely gonna see the potato video.
Have you ever said something, like a sentence, and thought to yourself, wow, like, I bet nobody else on earth has ever said those exact words that I just said? That happens to me a lot. So now, just for fun, I'm gonna say 3 sentences that I bet not one person has ever said before in the history of mankind. Sentence number 1. Oh man, my uvula got stuck between that hamster's toes.
The first sentence. Toes. What?
See? That could never happen, because your uvula is that swingy thing in the back of your throat right here.
Oh, this is a nasty pause. Why did I pause? Why did I pause on that? Why did I pause on that?
So there's no way you could get it stuck between a hamster's toes. Sentence number 3. I'm soaking wet! Quick, somebody bring me the ocean! No one would ever say that. Why? Because if you were soaking wet and you were upset about it, the last thing you'd want is for somebody to bring you the ocean. Because the ocean is even more wet than even the wettest person in the world. Have you ever tried to get your whole big toe in your mouth? Check this out. Sometimes I wonder.
Grown men came together. Grown men came together and said, "This is it right there. This is it right there."
If you can get juice from a potato. Is it possible for a teenage girl to drink water upside down? I'm thirsty.
Y'all seen that? Y'all seen that?
It's not possible. This has been me in a video. Come on, give up the juice. Can you imagine what life would be like with hippopotamus teeth?
Bro, what the fuck?